that said, let me now address some common issues that people face in the pharmacy. This will be fun.
Why can't they find my prescription? My doctor said he was going to send it here.
In today's electronic age, it is far more common that instead of bringing in a paper prescription, your physician will most likely have sent it electronically as an e-script or sent it via fax. On one hand, that's great. It's fast, it can help prevent errors, and it prevents the pharmacist from having to squint down at the little handwriting that the physicians used to use. On the other hand, things go missing. Things disappear. Errors happen. Maybe the doctor had the wrong pharmacy listed, and he sent it to the wrong pharmacy. Maybe when he said, "I'll send it right now," what he meant was, I'm going to send that in 20 or 30 minutes when I sit down over here to write some notes after I take care of 6 other people who are behind you. Maybe it got lost in oblivion. But the best thing to do for this particular scenario is to call your physician's office, wherever you just came from. Call them yourself and ask them where it is. If they can't tell you, then they'll get the physician to transmit a new prescription. What are all the abbreviations on the bottom of the prescription? Most of the time now with the new e-scripts, there aren't little abbreviations at the bottom. It just plainly says what you mean it to say. But still on some prescriptions and some older prescriptions, there were these little abbreviations like a 1 and a T and some other little scribbles. That's in the portion of the prescription called the SIG, which is short for Signa, which is Latin. Basically, it just means instructions. Previously, all prescriptions were written in Latin. And a lot of those Latin words are still carried over today into a Latin abbreviation system. Pharmacists and technicians understand these abbreviations and can interpret them and use it to put in the appropriate instructions for the prescription.
What the heck is a prior authorization?
This is an insurance issue, not a pharmacy issue. A prior authorization basically is the insurance company saying that they want to make sure, absolutely sure, that the physician can't give you some other medication instead. Which sounds ridiculous, but the fact of the matter is that there are a lot of medications in the same class that do something very similar. They may have little pluses and minuses here, little minutia that can make one a better choice over the other. But prescription insurance companies have something called a formulary. A formulary is basically just all the medications that they have decided that they want to pay for. They have a closed formulary. Your pharmacy, your community pharmacy, has an open formulary, which means basically anything a physician writes a prescription for can be a medication on their shelf. But the medication insurance formulary, they have a tier system. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, etc., etc. Basically, they're saying we have these medications that are in Tier 1 and we'll always pay for these. And then Tier 2, maybe we will, Tier 3, Tier 4, we never will. You might be asking yourself, how can an insurance company dictate what a doctor says is the appropriate medication for me or my family? That is a good question for a different video. I don't like it and you shouldn't either. Let's say, for instance, your physician has written you a prescription for atorvastatin. A statin is a medication that helps lower your cholesterol. But the insurance company says, well, we only want to pay for one called rosuvastatin. So a prior authorization is basically them requesting that the physician writes a letter saying that he or she wants you to use atorvastatin, not rosuvastatin. This is not a pharmacy issue. What the pharmacy can do is they can notify your physician that the insurance company is requiring this prior authorization, and then the physician can write the letter and send it, and then your insurance will pay for atorvastatin. It's pretty annoying. It leaves you and the pharmacy in between the physician and the insurance company. The pharmacy can send the information to your physician, but it relies on the physician to sit down and do it. It can take anywhere from a day to a week.
What if I'm out of refills?
If you run out of refills on your prescription, generally the pharmacy can just send a request to your physician and the physician will renew it for another period of time, however long. The longest length of refills any physician can give you is 12 months worth. You can only have a prescription that lasts 1 year. Any prescription in your hand is only valid at the longest for 12 months. Some of them, depending on the class of medication, are much, much shorter. Sometimes the physician wants to see you before they write more refills because they want to reevaluate what it is they're treating. If they're able to treat it until it goes away, then maybe you can stop taking the medication. If they're treating it and you start suffering side effects, then maybe that's not the right medication for you. If you're treating it and it's not being treated at all, maybe it's not the right medication for you, or maybe you need something different. So there may be very good reasons why your physician won't write you a refill without seeing you in the office.
What if I don't understand my prescription?
Please ask. Seriously, please ask. We don't want you to go home and misunderstand what the purpose of the medication is for, or how to take it, or what to look out for, and get yourself in trouble. Read the instructions before you leave the pharmacy if you have to. If you're thinking, oh, but they look so busy, I don't want to interrupt them. They will always be busy. Just step up to the counseling area and ask your questions. I guarantee a pharmacist would much rather clarify something for you than just assume that you've got it and something really bad goes wrong.
Is it okay if I ask for help about things over the counter?
Yes, same vein. Remember that pharmacists really want to help you. They do. So even if it's really crazy and there are things going on, please just come up and ask. They'd love to help.
Can they special order things for me that I don't see?
For sure. Pharmacies usually have contracts with distribution centers that will send them things fairly quickly. Like I said, maybe 24 hours, maybe a little bit longer than that. So if you're looking for something over the counter, you heard that your Aunt Betty likes to take one particular thing that really helps with her dry mouth, but you don't see it and they've never heard of it, just ask for it. They can usually buy it.
Why won't they fill my prescription at all?
This may come as a surprise, but legally, a pharmacist always has the right to refuse to fill a prescription. Why would a pharmacist refuse to fill a prescription? Generally speaking, a pharmacist wouldn't refuse unless they felt like something was wrong. Maybe they felt like the prescription was a forgery, which does happen. Maybe they feel like it's not safe and the physician won't respond. Maybe they feel threatened. Whatever the case, if a pharmacist is refusing to fill a prescription, they usually have a good reason for it. Feel free to take that somewhere else, though if they suspect a forgery, don't forge prescriptions.
What should I do to make my time better in a pharmacy?
I love this question. There's so many things that you can do. Let's take it from the top. Number one thing that you can do to make your time better. Bring your insurance card. Don't try to memorize it. Don't leave it in your car. Don't assume they can look it up because somebody else in your family has been to this pharmacy. Don't ask them to call your insurance company. Don't ask them to call a different pharmacy that has it on file. Just bring it with you. Number 2, if your pharmacy is unlucky enough to have a drive-through, don't use it unless you have to. Which, listen, I get the convenience of wanting to stay in your car. If you have a car full of sleeping or screaming children, then the prospect of pulling them all out of the car and going and standing in line and wrangling them while they have so many bright things to pull off the shelf, I get it. But the reality is that drive-thrus were designed to increase efficiency and speed in an industry that is the exact opposite of healthcare. If something is important to you like healthcare, do it well. Make sure it's accurate. Chances are really good that you're waiting on the same technician inside as you are outside, and vice versa. You may not save any time unless it takes you like 10 minutes to get in and out of the car. I don't like drive-thrus. Number 3, don't show up at closing time unless you absolutely have to. If you've just been released from the hospital and that pharmacy is your lifeline between the pain that you're experiencing and getting a pain medication to help you sleep that night, and you get to the pharmacy right before it closes, chances are good they're going to have compassion on you. But if you've had this prescription in your possession for 3 weeks and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get this right now, and you show up 10 minutes after they were supposed to close or right before they were supposed to close, those guys have been there for a long time. Most of them get paid salary. So they may not get paid to stay there and wait for you, to stay there and fill another prescription. They may have had all this work that's been piling up throughout the day that they have not had a chance to get to, and so they're having to stay to take care of other clerical issues. Filling another prescription is not something they want to do. If that gate is down, unless this is your last chance, please don't ask them to raise that gate. Number 4, most importantly, please be patient. Please be patient. Like I've said, these guys are usually quite stressed and really exhausted. Even if you were the first person in the door, at whatever time they open, there could be 300 prescriptions there ahead of you just because they've been building up overnight. There are things that are scheduled to be refilled on a regular basis, and so at 12 a.m. or whatever time, they drop into that queue. They may choose to serve you before they take care of all those others, but there's still a lot going on even if you are first in line. If they're not stressed, then you're probably in an independent pharmacy and they're able to hire as many technicians as they need. But even then, they're constrained by law and supply and demand. So things can go wrong, things can get frustrating. Just please be patient. Community pharmacy. I really hope that this helps you to navigate the process of getting a prescription filled. What questions do you have about your community pharmacy or the process that I haven't answered? I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you work in a community pharmacy and you have stories that you think people should hear, I would love to hear them. If enough people send me good stories from community pharmacy, I'll do a follow-up video where I just read stories and we'll all have a good laugh or a cry or whatever. Moving forward from here, you can expect a couple videos a month from me, and I hope that I can tailor the content to what you're looking for as a medication user. I've got a lot of ground to cover and some topics that I'm really excited to talk about. What do you want to hear? What questions do you have in general about pharmacy? So let me know in the comments. And give me feedback. Is this working for you? Is this helpful? Is this sad and depressing to watch some man in scrubs sit in front of a camera? Do you wish that I was doing something better? Do you wish that I was talking louder? Do you wish I was tap dancing? I am not going to tap dance again. All right, see you later, guys. Oh, you're still here. Good. I really wanted to tell you my honest opinion about chain pharmacies versus independent pharmacies. I wanted to be real honest. In one of my previous videos, I discussed how the heart of pharmacy is to ensure the safety and efficacy of medications. Well, chain pharmacies are not run by pharmacists. They're run by business people, and they have an entirely different set of goals. They are very successful in reducing you and your loved one and everything that you're doing down to a number, to a statistic, a blip on the radar. They set goals based on these numbers, and they meet those goals by leveraging more work out of the pharmacists and the technicians. Do more with less. Hurry up. Over time, pharmacy hours have gotten longer and longer, and they keep cutting technician hours shorter and shorter, hiring less and less. Mainly because they don't want to have to pay technicians insurance, to the point that chain pharmacies make it almost impossible to do things safely and effectively. More, do more, fill more prescriptions, call more patients, get more people to put their refills on auto refill, which is convenient and can be very helpful. Give 4,000 flu shots this season. I'm not kidding about that. A friend of mine told me that one of the flu shot goals sent out by his district manager this year was that he had to give 4,000 flu shots during this flu season. If it takes the pharmacist about 15 minutes during everything else that's going on, stop everything, no phone calls, no prescriptions, stop everything, and give a flu shot for 15 minutes. Can you imagine what that does to their workflow for 4,000 people? Flu shots are very important, and I am a fan of them. We'll talk about shots in a different video. Have you ever heard of a no-wait flu shot? Doesn't exist. A friend of mine told me that she was in line at one of these pharmacies where they had those no-wait flu shots. And this guy was in line losing his mind, irate, because he walked in where they said he wasn't going to have to wait, and there was a line of people to get a flu shot. A no-wait flu shot doesn't exist unless they hire somebody who only does that. And even still, they're not going to, but even still, then there's going to be a line of those people. It doesn't exist. It's just something that marketers say to get more people into the pharmacy. They pit the public's expectations against the ability of the pharmacists and the technicians to crank it all out. It's not right. Now, I'm not saying that entrepreneurial pharmacists are not motivated to grow their business and they're not motivated by numbers, because they are. That's what makes them entrepreneurs. But I think that they're able to balance that with their desire to make sure that things are safe and effective. They keep it in a balance. I'm also not saying that you should never go to a chain pharmacy. Because of their size, they're able to invent new ways of convenience in pharmacy, new ways of getting things done more efficiently and with less. But a human can only take so much. If you're tired of the lines, if you're tired of inhumane service, if you're tired of what it looks like back there, maybe try an independent pharmacy where they can hire their own technicians, they set their own hours, and to a certain extent, they can even set their own prices. Certain independent pharmacies can give you an edge on pricing for things that are expensive. Talk to them about it. Find out. And do find out. Go look at them. See what they're doing. See how they handle their business. See if it's something that you prefer. If you prefer the convenience of chain pharmacy, you're not an evil person for that. I just don't like them. I've been there. I've done that. The people that I know that work for independent pharmacies like their job. The people that I know who either used to or still work in chain pharmacies are looking for a way out. They do not like their job. So I say send chain pharmacies a message. Send them a message saying, we care about people. That's what pharmacy is about. It's about your health. It's about our health. It's about people. If they're willing to violate that, they're willing to violate you too. Okay, all right. Rant over. Thank you for listening. I'm leaving for real this time.